Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for the first time ever to the Poduty podcast main stage in Tarentum. It's the Achieve More podcast.
Woo! Hey, everybody. This is Irene. Welcome to the Achieve More podcast live from the Poduty Theater in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Great to have all you here today. I am your host, Irene, and today we are switching things up a little bit, and I am taking over the podcast today with our host, Michael and Anthony. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having
Thank
us,
you.
Irene, on our own podcast.
Yes,
It's a
thank you.
real honor and a privilege to be invited onto something that you created through hours of blood, sweat, tears. So I really appreciate you today. Michael, you're looking handsome as ever, brother. I
Thank
love
you,
the
sir.
fact that you are with us here today as well.
I wish I
Um,
could have been too.
But yeah, for anybody that is new to what we do, Irene and I have a YouTube channel called Picksburgh where we do travel vlogs. We go all over the world. Soon we're going to be heading out to Australia and doing some really cool stuff here the next couple weeks. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, subscribe over to Picksburgh. But it's also going to be the video home of the Achieve More podcast. So if you want to follow along what's happening on the Achieve More podcast and continue to learn ways that you can practically achieve more in your own life, definitely come and subscribe over to Picksburgh. I want to toss it over to my brother Michael real quick because he has some really cool stuff happening on his YouTube channel called Huddle Card Collection.
Yep. Hey, welcome everybody. So, Michael Huddle Card Collection. My channel, a little different than Anthony's. I'm in the sports card trading card, niche on YouTube. Collectibles, that type of stuff. We talk sports, we talk collectibles, we talk buying and selling on eBay or buying elsewhere and selling on eBay or Amazon, stuff like that. More again concentrated on the sports memorabilia, sports cards, collectibles market. Also have a separate podcast, one that Anthony had started a long time ago that is live on Wednesday nights on the Huddle Card channel called Collecting Profit. Again, there we talk the sports collecting hobby, what products that are coming out, bring on guests, just talk about, sports, the hobby, and everything related to it.
Awesome. Sounds good. We wanted to kick things off here a little bit. Anthony, we're going to start with you. You have talked a lot about collectibles, and I just know you a little bit, so we might go a little deep here. But we're going to start it off easy. What is your favorite thing about collectibles, and what can you tell me?
So my favorite thing about collectibles is the feeling that they give me. It's kind of like a nostalgic feeling. It makes me feel like a kid again, like the exact same feeling I would have had as a little kid opening up a pack of cards. That's the same way I feel today as a 40-year-old man opening up a pack of cards, trying to find like that one special card. But more so than doing that, the thing that's really makes it special for me is now recollecting the stuff that I was collecting as a kid and kind of being able to not afford. But now that I'm an adult and I have expendable income, that I go and spend on the things that would have made, 12, 13-year-old Anthony feel like a king,
Yeah.
So like that's one of my favorite parts about it. But again, it's just I'm a big nerd. Like if I could do anything, I would probably, mess around with trading cards and even look that kind of stuff up on YouTube and just spend hours doing that. So
Well, I'm sure you spend hours at home looking at your collection.
Yeah, hey, and to add on to that, the other thing that collectibles do is depending on what it is, if it's something that you went ahead and, you know, uh, got, for instance, like I have some baseballs. I have a baseball, that I had gotten thrown to me from Will Clark when he was playing for the San Francisco Giants and everything. So it
Oh,
takes
nice.
you back and to that time period, also, remembering, where you were sitting, what you were doing, who you were with. So it also has that extra emotional, nostalgic, connection, for me with certain collectibles.
And it's nice that both of you have been able to recreate and actually find that feeling of joy when you guys were kids. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people chase now is try to chase that dream, chase that what they felt at that time.
Yep.
And you guys found something simple
Mhm.
and awesome in order to have that feeling again.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
What about you? What kind of collectible lifestyle have you been sucked into at this point?
My collectible lifestyle is a travel one. That is what I collect now. I've realized some stuff is just stuff, and I've been more about the experiences lately and building those memories with. I could do it by myself or with the people that I love, and it's actually been a real joy. But I do have to say, I do have a collection of Starbucks mugs that I try to get from everywhere. So,
Well, that's what it is. A lot of people, Anthony and I, a lot of our collectibles, are in, the sports arena, but there are, gosh, thousands and thousands of different types of, collectibles that you can do. It's not just limited to sports stuff, it's whatever it may be. There are people, whether it be, magnets of where you've been, where the spoons, whether it's been, all just different postcards, all different kinds of stuff
keychains that
like
I've
that. So
gotten
that's
from
what's
my
great about
friends from
collectibles.
my travels.
Yeah. That's what's great about collectibles. It really is it's a broad market and anybody and everybody can get into it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the even better part, leading into some things that Michael and I have done in our life is taking the love of collectibles and the passion to like want to open up packs or to be able to go to shows and buy up a whole bunch of cards to be able to then take home and sprinkle into an eBay business or some type of vendor business where you go to shows and set up each week and make money off of the cards that you're
Yep.
then picking up. And it just like kind of floods the whole thing all over again. You know what I mean? You get the nostalgia, you get all of the good feelings, but then at the same time, if it's cards that aren't like super sentimental to you, you can then pass them off to somebody who it is sentimental to and like actually make some money just dealing with something you enjoy. So that's what I've really liked about really getting into the collectible space more.
Um, I have another question for you, Mr. Anthony.
Yeah.
I know you've started a lot of businesses, either um, secular in the business world or religious aspects as a pastor.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. So it goes all the way back to when I was in the second grade, I believe.
Really?
My mom used to take me to a elementary school, and it was not really on the bus route where we lived. But every morning she would stop off at the little, it's like a little mom and pop store, and I would buy like all of the candies that the kids liked, and like the Jolly Ranchers that were like a foot long and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I started selling those candies to kids in my classroom
You're
in
the candy
second
man.
grade, literally
Wow.
the candy man. And from that point on, it got into pogs at lunchtime, into trading cards, and like it just
Anything and whatever was popular.
correct. And from there, I just you know, branched out. I'd say the first like real business I ever had, that I would like file taxes on or something like that would be I had a design business in college where I did like freelance graphic design.
Okay.
From there, me and my best friend Marty, we've had it was an online fantasy football magazine where it was like a full PDF. People could download it. They could hit us up for advice and stuff like that. So we did that for a couple years. From there, it's just with the churches I was a part of, helping them launch new campuses, but not only new campuses. Our goal was to have sustainable campuses. So each campus would have a micro business attached to it. And basically, that would be, a men's home that would be set up to go out and cut grass throughout the summer, but then go out and shovel throughout the winter. So that way there's like sustainable
Welcome
income
to Pittsburgh.
exactly. That way there's sustainable income year round to feed these guys that we're trying to minister to. But then also like the church that we're putting smack dab in the hood where people are all messed up from everything in life, it gives them a reason to not have to suck the little resources required out of them. We can just make our own, because I believe that when Paul went out and ministered, he built his own tents. He didn't rely on everybody else to kind of pay for the house's bills. So that was always kind of one of our models, is we'd set up a business to make sure the house was self-sufficient.
That's really cool. And it teaches them life skills and
Mhm.
businesses and responsibilities, even if it's being there at a certain time. I know I've had coworkers where I shake my head and
Mhm.
sometimes laugh. I'm like, where did you learn your work ethic from? It does not exist. And like, I just want to take them under my wing and say, let's teach what it is to have a job in the real world and what it is to have a sustainable and
In fact,
to actually achieve something in life.
there's plenty
Yeah.
of people that have come through a lot of our recovery homes too that have gone on to own one of these businesses, like whether it's the landscaping business that grew too big for the church to fully maintain. So this guy's doing wonderful. Bless him with a business, and it's one of those things where God just blessed it and made more room for more people to do more things.
That's
So
awesome.
it was really cool.
Yeah.
Michael, what kind of jobs have you had after college or then?
So it's funny when you know, I didn't know what I did not know what I wanted to do when I went to college, and I wasn't exactly sure. I took a computer class and I learned programming, and I wanted to be a computer programmer. That was what I wanted to actually be. I graduate college and everything, and every interview I went on was, "Hey, as soon as you get some experience, why don't you go ahead and come back? We'd love to hire you." And
That
I don't
answer
have.
annoys me so much.
It's like, well, okay, and then I remember saying to one of the guys, tell me what company will hire me then so that I can go get experience. And he's like, well, I don't know of any. I'm like, well, yeah, people aren't going to get experience unless someone takes a chance. So I wound up switching and became a computer operator, and things just, morphed, for me to where, I never wanted to work for a large company. Never. Nope. I was staying with a small medium, a small, maybe a private company or something along those lines. And then it just go happens. I wound up landing a job and getting a job with the second largest retailer in the United States. I won't say their name, but I will say that their favorite color is orange.
Oh, you wanted to stay small.
And you went and it wound up being, it wound up being a rather, large company. So I was like, where I thought I would never work for there, but it was different because it was retail. So I was working in the store, so it was completely different and stuff.
Oh, okay. Instead of the
And
corporate.
well, then things changed, and I went into the corporate side. And what was great about that was it let me go ahead and travel all across the country to places that I probably never would have been to, if it wasn't, for, my job and stuff. And then taking it a step further, I actually wound up with the uh, engineering department on the IT side of the house, and some of the things that I engineered, ideas that I brought forward, will be with that company until that company, disappears. Just
Oh,
some
wow.
some some of the things that I, were able to develop systems to put in place on how things should be, and the way different things that I helped design are going to be there, forever. So it's interesting when I, go and walk around those stores and I kind of, look up at the ceiling. I'm like, yep, I did that. I did that one. I did that one over
That's
there and
really
stuff like that.
cool.
Yeah.
See your handiwork years upon years later that it's
Yeah.
still working and still are in place and working.
Yeah. And then, and now my son works for that company and he's moving up the ladder and is going to do great things there. So I left, but the name will live on.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The true name because he is the junior.
That's it. That's right. But I mean, like I said, it's very, very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. Kind of like what Anthony was saying, it paves the way to things that you don't realize are gonna, come at you and stuff. And, you know, traveling is tough. Traveling for work is very hard. You're talking about like life lessons and those types of things. The when you all of a sudden you have to pack your bags and leave your house, and you're leaving a family and stuff like that, and then you're trying to balance what is going on at home while you're 3,000 miles away across the country and stuff. So it leads to a set of challenges. Traveling for work is a lot of times when you have a family, it is not all unicorns and rainbows and stuff like that. There's some times where it's tough and everything. You have to learn how to deal with it as as the person leaving the house, getting in that car, getting on that plane, traveling away, and you're not going to be around for a little bit.
And events that you're missing at home also.
Yeah, it's tough. It's when you are when you get into it, you have to when you are married and you're going to have a family, and then it becomes to work. There are a lot of people, whether it's man or woman, whoever it is, does not make a difference. When you're like the primary person of your household, you have to make sacrifices, and it's either I could give you all my time, but we might not have a lot of money to do things, or I could do something to make some money, and then we might not have a lot of time, but we'll be able to do more things together. And it's a tough balance to try and come up with and figure out what's right for your situation.
I know it's probably different for every couple out there who has to do this.
Yep.
But how have you and your wife, or what are some key things that you and your wife have done with you traveling for work, and to either support her to keep the marriage alive and still be a part of your kids' lives?
It's a
any
tough
ideas?
balance. It is a tough balance and everything. It is, it's a sacrifice. It's the biggest thing is it's understanding that in my case, my wife was sacrificing as much as I was. Her sacrifices were different. Of making sure that everything was, in place, making sure, that, every appointment was made, making sure that everything was the way it was supposed to be and stuff like that, and it comes down to just, again, it's an understanding. It's knowing what's going on. You talk about it, you still talk every single day, when you're on the road about what's going on, so on and so forth and everything, tried to go, I mean, it was, hey, guess what? I'm in California, and the kids got a recital at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. All right, you know what? I'll take a red eye home and be able to get home in time, or I'll get I'll get the first plane. I'll be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, be on the first plane out to go ahead and get home because there's a recital tonight. So you do things like that. Also just figuring out how to go ahead and be a part, of it. It's just, it's at the end of the day, it's doing what you got to do, right? You're trying to go ahead.
And all your kids probably saw was dad was there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, when you're trying to go ahead and, when you're trying to put a foundation in place to go ahead and give them every opportunity to go ahead and be better than you are, that's what that was my thought process. Every time I walked out the door it really stinks leaving you, but I know what I'm doing is going to put us in a place to where you can be better than me.
And they all have actually had very productive and lucrative lives and are doing very well for themselves.
They have done very, very well
in med school. So
yeah, I mean,
you and your wife too.
Yeah, they are definitely at their ages. They are further than I was when I was at those ages.
Yeah. But it's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
I know my aunt and my uncle. My uncle was a long distance or cross country bus driver or truck driver, And it was the same thing. They would talk every night. And when he was home, it was so cute because they had date nights. And as like a 20-year-old, I'm like, hold on, my aunt and uncle are going on dates.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me now that I'm older, but
Yeah.
it was just like, it was a very strange idea
Oh yeah.
because none of my
Yeah.
other aunts and uncles did it.
Right.
But it was one of the ways
And
that they kept the spark alive. And
oh yeah. And it was also different. We moved twice because of my work and stuff, and each time we moved further away from family, so it became the support systems and stuff like that. So, but I mean, you know what? I,
it's
I look
relying
at I
on
look
your
at
family
where
unit.
my kids are. I look at where Lisa and I are. I look at what our future is, and I wouldn't go ahead and I wouldn't change anything because I don't think we'd be where we are if I would do anything any different.
Mhm. That's awesome to hear that
Yep.
you
It-
could see that side of it.
and it's good that you keep them the priority as well, because so many people go so far in one direction or the other. They're so far in the direction of they're with their family that they do nothing with their life, or they're so far in the direction of I need to grind, 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 that they become 60, 70 years old, stroke out, and have never enjoyed any of the money they've made with any of the people that they love.
Yep.
So like what you're talking about is kind of a perfect combination, because I know that you're a guy that hustles not just in your job, but you hustle in the side, you hustle in your content, but
Yeah.
you make more than enough time for your family, and that's always priority one. So that's always been a thing that I like hugely respect about you, Michael.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
not a
try.
problem.
I
Absolutely.
try. I try and be the best version of me that I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do pretty good. Sometimes, but that's okay. I always get a second chance. That's the best part.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement on all of us.
Yeah.
The one thing that both of you have done extremely well is entrepreneurship. Um, Anthony, can you talk to us about management responsibilities and staffing and managing that team?
Sure. Yeah, so entrepreneurship is a big task in the beginning. The CEO, entrepreneur, the whoever's vision, heart, God places this dream into is basically the doer of everything. So you learn to do everything, and you learn to do everything well, but then you need to start, if for anything to scale beyond you and to be a tangible business, you really need to start staffing and staffing correctly. And the big thing is you can get tied up in so much litigation staffing the wrong people. So it's really important to try to find good quality people, more so than just, hey, can this person with a pulse show up and do this menial activity throughout the day? Absolutely. You don't need to find anybody special for that. But at the same point, you want to make sure you're finding somebody that you can sit next to for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, however many hours per year that turns into. You want to make sure it's somebody that I don't want to say has all the same ideologies as you, but you don't want to have a whole bunch of different people conflicting within the workplace. You want to make sure people are all under the same vision of whatever the house of the CEO, whatever the vision of the company is. You want to make sure you're hiring and staffing for those needs as well. So it's very tricky, especially if you've never done it before. And a lot of times, people that have never started a business before, they literally will just bring on people because it's convenient or it's easy, or it's like, hey, this person's cousin or X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times, like, they'll just come and hang out and just collect money and do like nothing. And I've always been the type where I give people the benefit of the doubt, and I'm super good with people. But once you get to the point where you see somebody's just point blank stealing from you, because if they're going to show up on the job and not do any work and not do anything that they've been promising, then that's a big violation. And then that's somewhere where you would even maybe step in early on and give them a warning. And if it's not rectified, then consider terminating them. Because the other thing is, whenever you're terminating people, it's better to terminate them fast so that it doesn't follow up, or so that they don't
Yeah.
start to infect other people with whatever is going on. So if you feel like you need to terminate someone, it's best to just do it as soon as possible, but also do it with reason. Don't do it because you don't like the person, or because they have stupid hair, or they fart a lot. That's not a good enough reason.
Right.
Having that paper trail is important, and having something to back you up.
Yep.
How is it actually firing somebody? And
Okay.
actually
Depends who,
doing.
You want the
depends who
real
it is.
Sometimes it absolutely sucks. Like, it literally feels like, and this is going to be kind of gross, but like an adult circumcision. Like, this feels gross, nasty, and it just hurts.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it feels great, because it's like this guy's been like on my last nerve for the last 2, 3, 4 months.
And then
Adios,
next
like-
day you do not have to deal with him.
Correct. So it's really a mixture of both. Like,
Mhm.
I've been forced in certain roles I've been in to have to let people go that I didn't deem needed to be let go, that I
Mm.
felt like with the proper training could have been brought around as a strong asset. But when you're in upper management and you're basically listening to a board of directors, you just do what they say, or they're going to get rid of you and get somebody that will do what they say. So that's a difficult part.
So
to
upper
navigate.
management is a challenge wherever you work.
Correct.
Well, and I think the thing is, it's easy. It is extremely easy to let go of the person that you want to let go of. The person who can't do their job correctly, the person who's stealing from you, the person who, that's the easy person to let go. There's you are completely emotionless. You say, look, hey, you're doing A, B, and C. Here's your piece of paper. Please sign. Let's go ahead and let's leave. It's
Let's
the
cut ties and
person.
move on.
It's the person that made a big mistake, and it's one of the ones that you can't come back from, that you actually thought and felt real good about, and those are the hard ones. When you just sit down and tell someone, hey man, I gotta let you go because you did X, Y, and Z, and that was a person where you looked at them and you said, man, this person, I believe that they could move to the next level and the next level after that. Those are hard. When a person is doing bad stuff and everything, on a regular basis, not, because there are people who do stuff and they make a mistake, but it's company policy. The mistake is the mistake. We're sorry, right? You went ahead and did X, Y, and Z. I'm sorry, but it's a company rule. Even though you thought, man, this person one day could, be a supervisor, a department head, a team lead. Those are the hard ones. The person who, shows up late every day, doesn't go ahead and really care, takes a long lunchtime, is shoddy in their work. When it comes to that time to let them go, you're like, oh, thank goodness. And here, sign the paper. Thank you very much, and let's leave and stuff.
And all your other staff is probably happy that you let them go also.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
What is your entrepreneurship experience, Michael?
I was exposed to it. I started thinking about this, Laura. I was exposed to it at an early age, but I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
My mom and dad, probably in around 19. Anthony talks about old people. He forgets who his partner is in this show. Probably back at 1969, 1970-ish.
Pre-Anthony days.
A long time ago, Anthony, 50 years ago. My parents were part of Amway. If anybody has heard
okay.
of Amway and everything, and they were moving up the ranks. We would have the meetings in our basement and everything, and my dad and I, I say my dad, like my dad would ask me, like my dad would tell me, okay, hey, we got to go to New Jersey and load up the van and get all the product, and we started delivering the product and everything. So I didn't know that it was entrepreneurship at that time, but as years went on, I learned that. My father opened up his own restaurant and stuff. My father had his own, a bunch, his own gas station. He had a candy store. He had, he tried a whole bunch of stuff. So I was around it a lot. Me personally, I tried, the MLM, the multi-level marketing type stuff and everything and different everything. Myself and two other guys I know, we started a construction company, and we were doing decks and fences and all this other kind of stuff. And uh, you know, once it got to the point where it's like, hey, we were getting ready to go ahead and take that next step and potentially, have to start bringing in more people. All of a sudden, it was like, hey, a couple of the guys, the two other guys are like, this is a little more than what we thought it was going to be. And I was like, well, what did you think it was going to become?
Yeah.
The idea was, that we were not going to be the guys doing the work all the time. We were going to have people who were going to do it. We were going to, we were going to become project managers rather than project workers and stuff, from that standpoint. And then, then I got into reselling, and, there are a lot of people who think, oh, reselling, it's not really, but it is, it's running a business. It's doing the exact same thing. I have to keep all the, it's a one-man show,
Definitely is.
selling, sports cards. I have to keep all the same records that somebody who has a multi-million-dollar business, so just because you're one person doesn't mean that it's not, it's not going to be as involved. Understand that about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is, it's, you treat it like a business. It's not a hobby and stuff, and that's one of the things, again, being exposed to it as an early age and seeing what what my mom and dad did and what my dad did with all the things, it really helped me as I decided to do my own, my own thing. And the scale doesn't matter. I'm a part-time
Yeah.
reseller, but you still put in full-time hours per se, right? There's really nothing
Organizing the shipping,
right.
the
There's really nothing
making sure you have
part-time
enough
about
supplies
it.
to do it all.
Yeah. There's nothing part-time about it. It's still all the effort is the same. You make of it what you want to make of it, but from that standpoint. So, I mean, that's how I got to like I said, my entrepreneurship. I didn't know it until many, many years afterwards that I was, that I was exposed to it, because I didn't know what it was, back when I was 5 and 6 and 7 years old. From
That's
that
really
standpoint.
cool that your parents were successful at Amway.
Yeah.
I have not heard that many success stories through it.
Oh yeah.
Personally.
Oh yeah.
And
They
so
had one of those. We'd have. I mean, I don't know. We'd have 25, 30 people in our basement and everything with the whole thing and stuff and talking about everything. So, yeah.
that's awesome. My cousin tried to do it, but of course it stayed the entry level aspect of it and never got anywhere with it. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear that it actually did work
Yeah.
for
Yep.
your parents.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They did well with it.
Also, just want to reiterate too, when you were talking about the reselling business and the sports cards and trading cards and the collectibles and stuff like that. A lot of people might not know this that are looking to start a business. It's really easy to start a business with stuff that you have in your closet. Whenever I've restarted my eBay store a couple times over the years, either, once I was just so busy I didn't have time to list or do X, Y, and Z. Man, when I got dedicated about it again, just what was in my closet already was enough to sustain me and get me going back to the point where I was running a functioning business again. So a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people think I can't start a business unless I have, $5,000, $10,000 to go and source inventory and all this stuff with. But let me tell you this. I believe that you can start a business when it comes to reselling with eBay, Amazon, any of those type of places with just what is already in your house. And sometimes it might be, you might have a storage unit, and then that might be like the mecca of stuff that you're going to be able to start your business off with, because it doesn't necessarily mean that the items in there are going to get you the big paycheck, but that might accumulate into a larger check that allows you to buy into something even bigger.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's really a game of, just being able to acquire things when they're readily available. And in the resale game, it's not like there's a steady supply of excellent inventory. So you just kind of need to know when to strike when the iron's hot. But my advice would be anybody interested in potentially getting into like a reseller business, start with what's at your house. That right there, if you can't find $500 to $1,000 worth of stuff in your house to sell, then I don't know what to tell you. There's probably video game systems, trading cards, just like the average stuff that you think of in your house that you don't use. Like I just had a massage chair for the last couple of years that hurt my back that I couldn't use. We just sold that, so that's something that you can think of. Like, you could have like a nice surround sound system that you don't even use on your TV. Lord knows I got one that I don't even use on my TV. That's something that could be used and put in towards a business. So, if you're broke and you feel like you have nothing, but you have stuff at your house, especially stuff you're not using, start looking through it. List it on eBay. It could potentially be the revenue you need to get started.
Yeah, I would tell you my first item was a T-shirt that my daughter grew out of that she didn't want anymore. That was the first item that I ever sold on eBay, and the one of the next items that kind of made me realize, hey, wow, reselling could, you really could do decent was we put a new radio in my wife's car, and the other radio worked. She just did, we just swapped it out and everything. And I was sitting there, I had it in my hand. I'm like, what? Like, how do I get rid of this? And I went, wait a minute. I don't have to get rid of it. I can go ahead and list it on, I can list it on eBay and sell it. And I wound up, selling that, that car radio for, I think it was, I don't know, $280 or something like that. And I was like, oh, dang, this is going to, you go ahead and you put the work in and stuff. This will work out okay and everything. And, things change, and stuff like that. Again, look, reselling is one of those businesses where there is and I'm not saying that it's not across the board on all businesses, but with the personal hustle, the one-on-one, the I'm like the only person in my company type thing. This is one of those ones where, the effort that you put in, you will go ahead and reap the benefit out, depending on how much, effort you put in. You put in part-time effort, which is nothing wrong with that if that's all you have. Then, just set your expectations. You go full blown and are busting your butt every single day with it and stuff like that. You'll do, you'll do good. There are a lot of people who make a living this way.
And that's advice for not only reselling businesses and entrepreneurship, but every aspect of life. Of if you put in the time and the effort, God only knows what will happen, and you will see the benefits of what you put into it.
It actually comes back to a biblical principle where it's like, what's in your hand, I'm going to bless it.
Mhm.
Like they put their hand to the plow, God bless the plow. You know what I mean? So it's a simple thing that still works even to today,
Absolutely.
which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. We're going to go into our next segment here of We Have to Ask, but you do not have to answer. Michael, I'm going to start with you this time. I know you have a new grandkid and you are new at being a grandparent. What has surprised you the most about being a grandparent?
Oh, wow. Oof.
We have to ask, you do not have to tell.
Yeah, no, it's seeing your kid be a parent. It's seeing that the most interesting part about being a grandparent is watching your child all of a sudden become, a parent. And
Is it the role reversal?
it is role reversal. It is, the little stuff, that it's the little things that you see. It's little things that, that make you chuckle. It's the watching them go ahead and, try and figure stuff out, that you had to figure out, and you wanted, say, hey, X, Y, and Z, but you keep your mouth shut because you're the grandparent, not the parent, and I'm sure it'll
That is
change
a
as
hard line to walk.
yeah, and I'm sure it'll get hard. That line will be harder as as the grandchild, gets older and is starting to do, more stuff per se. It's like they say, and it's I look now at how my parents acted towards my kids, and the whole thing. And then I see, I can understand why, as a grandparent, you think your grandchild is just, an angel and perfect and can't do anything wrong. And then I, so I can understand, I can hear my parents saying that, and I
Yeah.
can see what my kids actually did and go, who are you people? What happened to the ones that raised me and my sister? And I can see my wife and I basically, you know, doing that same thing one day.
I know it's been interesting seeing my parents with my nieces and nephews going, hold on, like totally different
Yeah.
role here, and like seeing a whole nother side of them. I'm like, okay, they were raising us and now they're actually having fun with their grandkids. And
Yeah. That's what it boils down to. I mean, that's and I'm sure, like I said, it'll be different as she gets older and stuff. She won't, I'm sure, she probably won't be able to do much wrong in our eyes, and I'm sure in our parents' eyes, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, what happened to the two of you?" From that standpoint.
how often do you get to see her right now?
Well, the these devices have changed a lot
Everything.
of things and give you a false sense of togetherness. And we've actually gone over twice. We have to figure out, what's going on. We have a lot of stuff going on, in our lives also. We're trying to, build a retirement home in North Carolina. So we have, have to travel there and stuff, and then with work and everything. So, I have a funny feeling it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
But it will be what it will be.
Or how far do they live from you?
About 3 hours.
Oh, okay. So at least a day trip and
Yeah, it's not popping
chunk of
over just
time
to
to
go ahead and
actually
hang
go
out for
visit.
15 to 20 minutes and then heading back home.
Yeah. You have to carve out some time and go spend some quality time with her. So
Yeah. We'll do what we got to do, though.
But one that you make a priority, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. We will. We definitely will as things progress forward.
Awesome.
Yep.
Mr. Anthony.
Yay.
Uh-oh.
Since you are not a grandparent.
That you know of.
Great. Uh-oh.
But OG out in these streets, girl.
Well, on that note, what is the most embarrassing thing that you could tell me? Either with life, with being a pastor, the door may be open.
Most embarrassing thing in my life. That's hard because I could tell you a plethora of embarrassments. Basically, anytime I open my mouth, being a professional wrestler, being this size, I was actually larger than this size. I was 340 plus pounds. And I say plus because the plus was fluctuating, and that fluctuation was probably blubber. But imagine all of that blubber sucked into spandex and a giant aggressive man shaking it in your face like that was kind of what I had going on whenever I would come out from the ring and try to get in people's face because I was the bad guy. So that was
6'2"
probably
and 340 plus pounds.
Yeah, of jiggle, of straight jiggle. It was like if Michelin wore like Steeler colors. That was kind of the way I came out to the ring.
Okay.
But then you got to my face and it was just straight handsome. So they didn't know how to take me once you got to that point.
They got to your face and just started laughing.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, I would say that probably that because of all of the rolls and folds and just crevices and areas I didn't know I done had until I put something that tight on.
Spandex leaves nothing to the imagination.
But I mean, I've done some embarrassing stuff even through the church. You know what I mean? Like
Do
I've had
tell.
people throw stuff at me during outreaches and, be like rude or
Okay.
try to like say that Jesus is stupid or blah, blah, blah. Which it is what it is. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's more like they're coming at him and not so much me. Because I mean, obviously you wouldn't hit it if it looks that good, would you? But
Maybe.
but no, I mean just random stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
but I would say wrestling is probably takes the cake just because it's the whole spandex factor.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
large man in spandex.
I have yet to see
We
this.
get enough downloads on this. Maybe next week we'll do an interview.
With Tony.
But as a parent, it's fun embarrassing your children.
Or if in some case we're canceled, then we'll just won't have another episode.
That's true.
On that note, our next segment is called No Dumb Questions. This is where we take a question from the audience and see what comes up. Any questions from the audience here? Oh,
Oh, we do have
I see
one.
somebody in the back. Let's go
Oh,
with you.
boy.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on hosting your first live show. So the conversation's been great. I'm really enjoying it. You mentioned
you.
traveling and you mentioned collecting. What's the furthest you've ever traveled for a collectible? And if you want to share what it was too, love to hear that story.
Yeah, so far, like one that I planned to travel for, I would say probably from the East Coast to the West Coast, like so Pittsburgh to California area. Mickey Mouse card that we
Yes.
actually met around was one of those cards I traveled for. But for the most part, it would be if I'm traveling for a card, it would be going to an event. Like we went to Disney Lorcana. They had their first ever challenge event where you can sign up and you can play, and like by entering, you get like special promo cards that are really expensive, and you can play inside events if you don't win to win extra cards that are kind of more expensive. So for me, it's at this point targeting like certain either experiences that come with the collectible, or if it's a collectible I've been wanting for a really long time, I figure out where I can find that collectible at a good price, and then I'm willing to go to it, because most of the time the stuff I'm looking for is in such a low population that it only comes around so often.
But the one that we do have planned, maybe we could talk about next time that we're here, or have an update on, is we are planning a trip to Australia in a couple weeks, and one of Anthony's collectible friends actually lives in Australia, and hopefully be able to meet up with him. And our plan is to actually go to a card shop and see what he has, and hopefully actually get something from his card shop. So that answer may not be just the United States. That answer, hopefully in a couple of weeks, will be Australia.
True. Very true.
Yeah, I've had some stuff. I mean, so two different things. One, collectibles that I have actually gotten. So that's a twofold question. Because number one, the only place I've really traveled with specifically to look for collectibles, would be when I've gone to Chicago, Cleveland, going to one of the big, national shows. But because I travel for work, I'm always on looking when I get to the town that I'm going to be at. Hey, is there anything that might be available? So it's not a targeted, hey, I'm not traveling there to see if I can specifically find something. It's I get there, hey, is there something that piques my interest and stuff?
And say, hey, I got this from Colorado.
Right. And then so I you guys have been to my house, and over there, you can't see, I have Coke bottles and Coke cans that I
His
go ahead and
Coca-Cola
collect.
collection is unbelievable, guys.
Yeah. And what I had started to get in the habit of doing is people who travel, maybe you guys can check it out. Bring and it could be an empty can, that's fine. But I would ask people saying, "Hey, where are you going?" So I actually have, like I have a can from Israel. I have a bottle, I believe, from Bosnia. I have from South Africa. I have from Germany. So those are some of the things. Again, it's not necessarily I did not collect it, but I asked people who might be traveling to areas, "Hey, if you see an interesting Coke can, do me a favor, see if you can go ahead, and bring it home and stuff."
I'm gonna have to keep this in mind, Michael, and bring you back some from wherever I go.
Yeah, just a Coke can.
She goes to all the weirdest places, man, all over the world. So yeah, she's gonna be your Coke hookup.
I do have a Starbucks mug from Cambodia.
Very cool.
I did not, unfortunately, they did not have Starbucks in um Burundi, Africa, that I saw. So, and their airport was super small, so not even a Starbucks in there. But Coke, I will have to be on the lookout for Coke cans
Sure.
for Michael here.
So Irene, any final questions you have in the kitty there for either one of us that you'd like to know? Anything you feel like you haven't really scratched the surface on, business wise, or anything with us? Or
I think we've just touched all about anything that you want to impart to our audience. Any advice, any updates on either channel?
yeah, sure.
Now's
I
your
think this would
time.
be a great time to do that. Guys, I'd love it if you would come and support the channel over at Picksburgh. Irene and I are getting ready to do some really great things. We're going to be traveling all over the world, getting married here just in a few short months. So that's going to be great. We're going to be documenting as much of this as we can. One thing I'm talking about is getting at least a stream link. I don't know that we'll be able to broadcast the whole wedding, but I want to make some of it available to people that actually want to be a part of it. So we may have some kind of a stream link coming up for the actual wedding. So I'll have Irene put together some kind of a, I guess, pre-invite list or
Hopefully, yeah.
evite list or something.
Need to find a videographer and go from there.
Correct.
See what's possible.
So yeah, we're working on that stuff. We're really focused on getting the wedding planned right now, guys. And I've been really busy with work. I'm doing some really incredible stuff. Can't really talk about a lot of it due to like NDAs, but I'm getting to basically live my dream as far as what I really enjoy doing with collectibles and trading cards and all that kind of stuff. So kind of taking things to the next level. But really want to encourage you guys to leave some feedback on these. We will be back at the Poduty podcast studio, and we are bringing in a special celebrity guest with us next time. So leave some comments down below. Any people you would like to see brought in for an interview. Michael, what do you have going on your channel, brother?
So, like I said earlier, my channel is, again, if you're into sports cards, you're into that type of, content, come on, check it out. I do interviews. I try and bring on guests onto, my live show that I have on Wednesday nights. It's, it's a podcast like we're doing here. One of the differences is that it's actually live on YouTube. So if you come into the chat, you can interact with myself, the guests, the other people in the chat and everything. So, come on over for that and everything. And just, come and, have a good time on Wednesday nights. It's, laid back, nothing too serious. I mean, we, keep it light and fun. That's what it's all about. It's, you got to do these things and you got to go ahead, and have fun and everything. And, it's been fantastic. Like Anthony said about this podcast, it's been awesome. Anthony and I have been friends for, I don't even know how many years now. It was, it's interesting, the way we met. We actually met, got to know each other just on other shows, on reselling shows. We both had reselling shows and asked each other about being on that reselling show. And that led to, friendship. My son wound up working for, having a job, working for Anthony and in one of his previous companies. And then we got together again doing a podcast. It's led to this. I've watched this relationship go ahead and, bloom into something that's going to be an unbelievable thing between Irene and Anthony, and you'll be the first one to go ahead and wish you guys the best of luck and everything you guys got going on in the future with your child.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Awesome. So, with you being in charge, do you want to put a ribbon on this one for us?
I thank you so much, everybody, for coming out and supporting not only the Achieve More podcast, but the Poduty Podcast Theater here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I would like to say thank you. And Anthony and I will be available afterwards for any of you who like to ask us anything else that popped into your head. And we would love to just meet and shake each and every single one of your hands. Thank you so much.
And also, if there's anybody that is staying after, there is a meetup this evening at 6 p.m. So make sure you come by and meet up with a lot of other local Pittsburgh podcasters. The owner here, Jeff, has done a wonderful job opening this place up, and we really want to encourage you guys to come out and see what he's doing here. Come out for a night and engage with other people that are like-minded, that want to do the same type of things as you. And at the very least, you get to see a really cool studio. And next thing you know, you might be up on stage here creating something. So just want to encourage you with that, guys. At the end, you can achieve more. You can be up on a stage like this one day. You can do all of the things that any of us talked about here on this podcast. You just have to put your mind to it and work hard.
Thank you so much for coming out. And that's a wrap.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
God bless.
Thank you. Bye.
From the city